Hello, guys, and welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I am joined by the Kazuna Tanaka to my Victoria Yuzuki. It is, of course, Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you, good sir?
Rob Goodwin, I am phenomenal. We just wrapped up Labor Day here in the United States, and it's basically the unofficial end of summer. Even though I believe fall starts, I think the 22nd of September per the calendar. So nice, cool weather today. Really beautiful, gorgeous day. Rob Goodwin, I was a busy boy this weekend, but I got some extra stuff done for I got some research done for the podcast, Mr. Rob Goodwin. And let me tell you what I found out. I found out some crucial information. I found out what Sayori's favorite movie is. Do you know what Sayori's favorite movie is?
Soriano?
Yes. Do you know what her favorite movie is?
Mean Girls.
It is Star Wars: A New Hope. Dun-dun.
Oh man! Oh no!
Yes.
No! Do you know what? I know there is at least 4 people laughing at that as well, which really upsets me. You're better than that, listeners. You're better than that.
That's 7 more people than I thought would laugh at it. But brother, how's things here in your neck of the woods? I know you went out for a lovely meal. You took Kirsty on a date because you are a gentleman and a handsome and a dapper gentleman at that. How was your meal? And what did you have, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, it was just so we live near a canal, and it's always nice to walk down the canal, especially on a nice day like today's been. So we walked down there, went to the golf club, which has a restaurant attached to it, and I had fish and chips because I am the most basic human in the world. If there is fish and chips on the menu, I will have fish and chips. Kirsty was devastated because there was no pie. I believe she wanted a steak, onion, and thyme pie, which sounded amazing. But they hadn't got any, so she had fajitas. But she did find out that Thursday night was pie night. So I imagine this will not be our last June there. But unfortunately, started off with a little bit of trauma. Because as you know, and as the listeners are well aware, we have cats. They're my little fur children. Sometimes, Matt, and you as a fellow cat owner will appreciate this. Sometimes they drive you to within an inch of your sanity. Now, what mine had done was maul a pigeon. Crucially, not kill the pigeon, mauled the pigeon. So I came back from work, long day at work, hard day at the grind, come back and a pigeon is sat squatting by my door. And I was like, this isn't normal. So anyway, I went to it, assuming that it would fly off. No. It walked somberly around to the back door. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to deal with this. So anyway, long story short, Kirsty has seen on the Ring doorbell me, because we got no thick gardening gloves for me to pick up the pigeon and to put it somewhere safe. Bearing in mind, my hungry little carnivores are pouring at the cat flap at this point. I've got nowhere to put the pigeon because I haven't got any gloves and I'm not touching it. So I ended up having to slowly but surely take it on this sort of weird walk of death away from my door, because my cats will always go out and go to the field on the right. So I was like, if I take it left, maybe I'll buy it a couple more hours. It was the most depressing walk, this pigeon trying desperately to fly and just sort of looking back at me as though to go, this is what your cats have done. Honestly, Matt Turner, I've never felt so bad as a human in my life. And my cats come in and they're all like, hi, where have you been? What have you done today? And I'm like, you savage little monsters.
Yeah. Obviously, you stayed at my house last year for WrestleMania. I have 2 cats. My sweetheart Heidi, who bless her, can barely, if she walks too fast, she tips over. God bless her. She's
adorable.
Sweetest cat. Ace, who is a menace, literally a menace to the point where I was like, if he was an outdoor cat, I wouldn't be. I lived in literally the middle of nowhere. There's deer running around my land all the time. I wouldn't be shocked if he killed a deer. Like, he's that nuts. So I actually had a problem with Ace is always just crazy regardless. And he's at this stage now where he needs to be around people, especially me or my wife, all the time, or he'll be whining. Right before we hit the record button, he was literally throwing himself out at the door because no one was paying attention to him.
Of course.
Well, Rob, as you know, I went to Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, and the legendary ECW Arena this past Friday, which was a phenomenal show. And let me tell you something, for you like 980 fans that were there, they were molten hot for the whole entire show. Think of like the atmosphere we had for the Marvelous show in Las Vegas, but add 700 more people and add like a 5-hour long show. Like everybody was crazy over in that show. No match was dull because of how the crowd atmosphere was. Anywho, by the time I got home, got something to eat, and took a shower, it was about 2 a.m. I was like, all right, I am going to go to bed to get some sleep. Well, Ace, because I usually up between 4 and quarter after 4 to go to the gym, he must have thought, Dad's up. It's time to play. So I tried to kick him out of the room, and I was like, no, I need to get some sleep. You can literally, so I shut the door, and about 10 minutes goes by, and I'm laying down. I'm exhausted. You can literally hear him going up and down the hall whining. And then it wakes Amber up, and he's like, just let him go. Eventually he'll stop. He stopped. And then around 3:30 in the morning, he was flinging his entire body at the door trying to get in. Yes, trying to get in. So usually because I'm the one that's up early. So usually I get up and Amber's like, you just got to bed like 2 hours ago. I'll take care of him. Then around 5 in the morning, that wasn't good enough. Like Amber went downstairs, played with him, fed him. That wasn't good enough, Rob. So he's just like, nope, I need to wake up Dad. So then he starts flinging himself at the door again. I was like, well, I guess I'm up now. So lovable.
Which is weird because
creature.
that's exactly how I got your attention at Vegas. I just threw myself at your hotel door until someone came and played with me. That was basically my thinking.
He did the ace. He aced it. You know what I mean? Go Ace. That's literally, and I told you the story. We named him, for any of our new listeners, we named him Hiroshi Tanahashi because we got him. He would literally jump. If you were laying down, he would jump on you like the high fly flow. And I just kept calling him Tanahashi. And Amber's like, we can't call him Tanahashi. It's like, I don't get any wins in this house anyway. She's like, what if we call him Ace? And I was like, I will take that. So that's how he got his name. Go Ace.
That is a big win, my friend. That is a big win. That is a big win. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you didn't tune in to hear about cat talk, although you might have done, in which case we fulfilled our quota. But it is always a good day when we are reviewing a Marigold Korakuen Hall show, some of the most appointment viewing that we cover on our podcast. So it's great that we have got a stellar Korakuen Hall show as we near the end of the Dreamstar Grand Prix. Eliminations coming thick and fast, blocks starting to take shape, and that final night again in Korakuen Hall on the 14th of September really beginning to take shape, and we're beginning to see exactly what matches really are going to matter as we get down to the wire. I know, and Matt knows, we are fully aware that Marigold had a live show today as we record. We're recording this on the 2nd of September. I can't exactly remember when this episode is due to go out. But we haven't had time to watch the show, basically. So that's why we're not reviewing that. We're going to save the Shinjuku Face show. We're going to save that for next week, although I've heard very good things about Victoria Yuzuki and Rhea Sato. Victoria Yuzuki putting forth a huge case for MVP of the tournament, Matt, I think.
Yeah, from what we understand, she is. But from the main event we're going to review today,
wow,
great. Yeah, she's got a red belt champion with long hair, championship hair, that's saying, I know you're doing a fantastic job in this tournament, but damn it, this is my company. Boy, Utami Hayashishita, what a tournament, what a match. And obviously we'll get to that. But Yuzuki, Sari Yamaoka, Kazuna Tanaka, even though eating a lot of L's, really having some great matches. Chika Goto, Rob Goodwin. I'm not going to, obviously you didn't get a chance to see today's show. I'm halfway through it, but debuting a new finisher, my friend, and one that I really think fits her moveset and psychology really well. So just to get you a little even more excited for the fantastic match he had with Chanyota today, buddy. But yeah, super excited to review. Again, folks, one show, but boy, howdy, this was like banger after banger after banger. Just a terrific show. It just really seems like professional wrestling, especially great Joshi wrestling, just seems to find its way in Korakuen Hall, my friend, because there's been some great Joshi wrestling in Korakuen Hall these last handful of months.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. But again, these Marigold Korakuen Hall shows, every single one has been a hit. There's been no bad Korakuen Hall shows from this company, and this is just another in the book of fantastic shows. Can't wait to talk to you about that. Just a couple of pieces of news as well. We've got Gaze at Julia to come as well, though again, I'm not entirely sure how big a gaze it is. It's more like a glimpse of Julia, a blink of Julia, absolutely, a passing of Julia. But well, yes, before we get into the Korakuen Hall show itself, just a quick bit of news, and that is that there is Marigold talent confirmed to feature on Miyuki Takase's anniversary show on September 27th. So one half of Red Energy, Miyuki Takase, is going to be running her anniversary show 27th of September in her hometown of Osaka at the 176 box. Loads of talent already announced for that card. We have got one match so far made official, and it is something of an AWG reunion. Miyuki Takase and Tae Honma are going to be teaming up to face former AWG tag team champions Miko Ano and Kakeru Sakaguchi. So that is so far the only confirmed match. However, in terms of people that are going to be on this card, is a smorgasbord of Joshi talent, with Marigold World Champion Utami Hayashishita also confirmed, Donna's Revolution's Nagisa Nozaki, Veni, Zones, Chi-Chi, and a lot more. So make sure you follow Miyuki Takase on Twitter to get all of the updates for this anniversary show. Matt, this match itself, even if it's just for Miko Ano and Miyuki Takase together, I am extremely excited.
If you were telling me, hey, Matt, Miyuki Takase, she's wrestling on her anniversary show, one wrestler, she'll be across the ring from one wrestler in Marigold, who would you like to see it against? It would take me about 1.5 seconds to say Miko Ano, and that's what we're getting here. Obviously, Sakaguchi and Hama, really great wrestlers. Great, I love me a great tag match. This will be fantastic. And then you're adding in Utami, you're adding in Veni, you're adding in Zones. So we're going to probably see in the next handful of weeks this card fully take shape. Rob Goodwin, I always ask you this question because I always get my news live on air when we record. You know what I'm going to ask. Other than being in Japan at the 176 box for the show, is there any streaming information? Is this going to be on Wrestle Universe, YouTube? Do we know how us folks that live outside the Japanese area are going to be able to watch this? And by your body language, I'm sure you're going to tell me exactly where we're going to watch this.
Exactly what I tell you every single time, Mr. Turner. Unfortunately, nothing announced as of yet that I can find. That's not to say that there isn't information out there. It's just I haven't been able to find it. Our listeners tend to be able to find us links and things to watch these shows and to buy these shows. So I'm sure someone will come to our aid when this episode does drop. So yeah, definitely be checking out that show. Very, very exciting.
Yeah. So, and what we'll do, sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just real quick, what we'll do is we'll either cover this show either on the Marigold Standard or on the Talk Joshi podcast, just because this really seems like it's a show that has a lot of buzz. So we may as well watch it, talk about it, and review it, buddy.
Absolutely. Why the hell not? And with that, let's dive headlong straight into our one and only show that we are going to be talking about today, and that is Night 8 of the Dreamstar Grand Prix 2025, the 30th of August, this Saturday, live on Wrestle Universe from the historic Korakuen Hall. In terms of the attendance, then 1,070 was the official number. Now, this makes it the highest attendance in the Dreamstar Grand Prix short history, taking into account both 24 and 2025. Makes it the fourth highest Korakuen Hall attendance in Marigold's history, and it is a 4.9% increase on their previous attendance at Korakuen Hall, which, if you remember, was 1,020 on the 16th of July, featuring that double title match between Utami and Takumi Iroha. And it is the fifth time Marigold have surpassed the 1,000 mark at the venue. Even more impressively, bearing in mind that we have three dates left after Korakuen Hall. Marigold have already surpassed the total attendance for last year's tournament. So last year's tournament, there was a total attendance of 4,050 people from the 9 shows, which gave them an average attendance of 450. This year already, We have got, including today's attendance at Shinjuku Face, which was 392, an attendance total of 4,995, with an average attendance of 500 people. So again, Marigold on the up in terms of those attendances. Big number today from Korakuen Hall. Those two opening shows at Edion Arena Osaka, where they drew 600 on both nights. Good numbers as well from places like Shinjuku Face and things like that have really contributed to an excellent tour. And this is without taking into account that we have got another show from Korakuen for the final as well. So I expect another big number there, Matt.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, absolutely. Again, Rob, why do you think that they've already passed the number this year than last year? You think there's maybe one wrestler that has been on majority of these shows that wasn't there last year?
Well, yeah, Megaton, obviously. Obviously, the big draw in, although to be fair, I've said that she wasn't on this show, was she?
But maybe people just assumed, because I think she was sick. I think it was like a last minute she was sick. So I'm sure the tickets were bought months in advance to see the mighty Megaton. Even though they were disappointed they didn't get to see Megaton, I think they more than made up with a lot of these matches, especially with the main event. I think they were like, we wanted to see the Megaton press. We wanted to see the moonsault tease. We wanted to see the 1.2 second tap out of some random submission. But
Absolutely.
I guess we'll settle for one of the best matches you'll see in professional wrestling this year with Mayu versus Utami Hayashishita.
We had this show, as anyone that follows Marigold did. Everyone had this show highlighted as a blockbuster show, not only because it would be the first time that we would see Utami versus Mayu in Marigold, but also we had Mai Sakurai and Mirai, which we thought could have future white belt connotations. And again, Matt, just in keeping with our terrible predictions when it comes to the Dreamstar Grand Prix, we have a big fat 0 there as well. We also, again, we have Miko Aono on the card facing off with, I was going to say Kazuna Tanaka, Chanyota as well, which was great. I really enjoyed Koki Amare and Sari Yamaoka. I thought Victoria Yuzuki and Maria had a really good match as well. For my money, Maria's best match of the tournament so far. And even Chika Goto against Nagisa Nozaki, I thought was really, really good as well. A really strong card finished off by 3 absolutely fantastic matches as well. Main event delivering undoubtedly. So in terms of the results, let's read through them. So the 6-woman tag team match that opened the card, Kimomo Minami, Nagisa Takibana, and Minami Yuki defeated Nao Ishikawa, Hummingbird, and Yuka Yamazaki. Nagisa Takibana, just after picking up her first pinfall win, picks up another here against the Naniwa Mad Dog, Yuki Yamazaki, with a La Magia Cradle in 6 minutes and 44 seconds. All of the following matches are Dreamstar Grand Prix matches now. So from the Dream League, Ria Sato moves to 2 points, defeating Chiaki, who also stays on 2 points in that All Darkness Revolution affair. Ria getting the pinfall with the Osui suplex in 8 minutes and 24 seconds. Star League match next. Kazuna Tanaka picks up her first win of the tournament to move to 2 points, defeating block leader Misa Matsui at this point, who remains on 6 with the Heat clutch in 8 minutes and 2 seconds. Star League again, Chika Goto moving to 3 points in a double countout with Nagisa Nozaki, who remains on 7 points in 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Dream League next, Victoria Yuzuki moves to 8 points, defeating Maria, who stays on 4 with the Victoria shooting in 8 minutes and 34 seconds. Dream League again, Koki Amare moving to 6 points, getting a third win of the tournament, defeating Sari Yamaoka, who remains on 4 with the Amethyst Butterfly in 13 minutes and 30 seconds. Again, for my mind, Koki Amare's best match of the tournament so far. Thought that was a really, really good match. Star League again, Miko Aono moves to 3 points, getting her first win of the tournament, defeating Chanyota, who stays on 4 with a Styles Clash in 8 minutes and 56 seconds. In your semi-main event, Star League match, Mai Sakurai moves to 8 points, defeating Mirai, who stays on 3 to pick up her first ever singles victory over Mirai with a referee stoppage whilst MIRAI was locked in the STF in 13 minutes and 6 seconds. I can't help feeling that the fact that MIRAI did not tap out to that move is going to have ramifications later on down the line, Mr. Turner. And then, of course, the main event, the match that everybody is talking about, Dream League main event, Utami Hayashishita and Mayu Iwatani, ending in a 15-minute time limit draw as they took us on an absolute roller coaster of all their previous matches, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. Utami moving to 9 points, Mayu Iwatani staying in contention with 5 points. So, starting with that 6-woman tag match, now Ishikawa Hummingbird and Yuki Yamazaki versus Komomo Minami Yuki and Nagisa Takibana. Matt, again, Matt, it's that time-old adage. We say it time and time and time again. You wait all these years for a London bus and then to come along at once, another victory for Nagisa Takibana. And you know what? I can't help feeling she absolutely has earned these victories because, again, since that injury that she sustained right at the start of this calendar year, she's come back with a renewed fire, renewed determination. And maybe it's because of that interview that she gave where we learned a little bit more about her backstory, but I cannot help but root for this woman.
Yeah, you're definitely rallying behind her, and so did Korakuen Hall. Again, Korakuen Hall was here to see basically Mayu and Utami and a lot of the other Dream Star matches, which was phenomenal, which we're going to get into. But these 6 ladies really did a great job setting the table. The opening match, they took advantage of the near 7 minutes they had. It was a really great. Everybody kind of got a few things in. Everybody had their time to shine in this match. And everybody really got over with the over 1,000 people in Korakuen Hall at this point. But Nagisa Takibana was the one that definitely shined the most, and for right reasons. Obviously, she was the one they highlighted. She was the one that got the pinfall. She has that new beautiful double jump crossbody that she's been doing. She used that into a roll-up. Excellent stuff there. Komomo Minami was great as always. Hummingbird was terrific. Now Ishikawa, for me, might have been the MVP of the entire match. Maybe that's just because I'm just a massive fan of her. Minami Yuki is another one, consistently getting better, not only bell to bell, but as I always say, curtain to curtain. She comes out and she's just so infectious with the crowd. Like the crowd really gravitates to her by the time she even just cuts the curtain. But again, a really great showcase for Nagisa Takibana, getting a big win here on a really big show. Not only a big show, but one of the best wrestling shows you will see all year in any wrestling company as far as start to finish goes, because there was nothing. I never say there's never a bad match. I really don't see any bad wrestling, not unless you're untrained and on the indies. Another story for another day. But like there wasn't a good match on this show. What I mean by every match was very good to phenomenal. Like that's how good this show was. Like everything was pretty much must see. I had a lot of people saying, "Hey Matt, what matches should I watch from this show?" I'm like, just watch the whole thing. Watch the whole show build. Watch the crowd get taken down on emotional roller coasters, not only from match to match, but just the entire show. And again, this was a great job setting the table. Yuki Yamazaki, she looked terrific as well. Again, a really terrific job setting the table for this fantastic show. 3.5 stars for me, good sir.
And again, we go back to that statement about how these opening matches are slowly but surely getting better and better with the addition of the dojo and the head trainer as well, who was on commentary, by the way. So again, the more we see this, the more we see the influence of Shuji Kondo. And again, seeing him on commentary during this match sort of just tied it all together as a viewer, as though, right, with this training regimen that we now have, look at what we're able to do. Look at the talent. Bearing in mind that all 6 of these women are not in the tournament. This is the talent that we now have at our disposal. We have a deeper roster, and look at what they're capable of. And again, you're absolutely right. The people like Komomo Minami, especially, I have every faith is going to be in the tournament next year. It wouldn't surprise me if Nagisa Takibana is in the tournament. If she continues with the development that we have seen from, say, March onwards when she returned from that injury. I think she's a shoo-in for this tournament. And, that goes without saying for the likes of a Yuki Yamazaki, who, again, is still a rookie, yet just has those transitions and things down, the emotion and the storytelling that she's able to do. And I think a lot of that actually is to do with teaming with MIRAI on these house shows. I think that really helps.
Rob, just to back up a minute, you meant the trainer was on Japanese commentary, right?
Yes, Shuji Kondo
Okay,
was. Yeah.
okay. I was gonna say I didn't know that Sonny or Stu Fullerton was the new head trainer at the Marigold Dojo. I got a little confused.
No, it's because it's Tom Fain. No, it was on. He was on Japanese commentary.
I know.
I don't. I
I'm
don't
full of
think
jokes
anyone
today,
else would
Rob.
fit on the English commentary table. There was a lot of people on English commentary, and we will be full of praise for them because they did a wonderful job, especially in that main event, building the story between Utami and Mayu. You know, ahead of it just being a dream match. Moving on, then, I was really interested when I saw that Rhea Sato and Chiaki was going to be on this card. How they would wrestle each other. And we've sort of talked about this before with members of Hate in the Stardom 5-Star Grand Prix. You know, when you've got members of a heel faction, how are they going to wrestle each other? Are we going to see lots of shenanigans like we did often, you know, in the 2018, 2019 years of the Bullet Club? Or are we just going to see a straight up wrestling match? And I'm actually really happy that we saw a straight up wrestling match because, again, Rhea Sato had a really good match here alongside Chiaki, who, as we've mentioned before, is one of the most underrated people on this roster, someone who will consistently give you a really, really good match. You know, it might not always be below weight. It might not be the match that you leave the show talking about. However, you always know what you are going to get with Chiaki, and it is always, always, always solid. But Rhea Sato here, I felt, again, alongside what I've heard is a fantastic match against Victoria Yuzuki and Shinjuku Face, has just been developing and developing and developing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do as the year progresses and as we head into 2026. What did you think of this, Matt? And obviously, Rhea Sato getting that first win of the tournament.
Yeah, Rhea Sato, again, it seemed like when she cut the curtain, she got a really good reaction in Korakuen
Really
Hall,
good, yeah.
considering the fact that she's supposed to be a heel. But again, Darkness Revolution Army, they have merchandise, they have T-shirts out, they have, they're the only established faction in Marigold. So I thought this match was really solid. Rhea going right after Chiaki's arm, my guess in her Death Note book. That's what she wrote on for Chiaki. Chiaki does a great job firing back with again, a really underrated wrestler, as you said, Robin. Very underrated when it comes to her striking. It was almost because you had like the striker versus like the submission wrestler, like the grappler versus the striker. And the styles make fights. And you're right, there really wasn't too much of the shenanigans. There was the chair that came in, chair shot to the head. Again, it looked like it was a protected chair, but at the same time, knowing what we know about concussions, they still kind of like, kind of went away. But wasn't overly in there. You you're going to get like, yeah, it's Darkness Revolution versus Darkness Revolution. We need to do a little bit of the cheating because I think that's what that's like kind of the ingredient, which kind of makes them cool. But I thought really great stuff. And eventually, Chiaki looked like she was going to put Rhea away. Rhea was able to catch her with that double arm roll up. Again, another solid match to follow up a really hot opener. 3.5 stars for me, my friend. And it's really great to see the progression of Rhea Sato in this tournament.
I think if I was to have one note about Rhea Sato, and again, we're talking about really, really fine details here. In ring, her smoothness in the transition into the submission holds are tremendous. Really, really good. I don't think she's quite found the top of that heel character yet as a member of the Darkness Revolution. I know that obviously here she was the de facto babyface, I think, compared to Chiaki. However, I'd like to see more, not necessarily aggression, although, again, we're recording this before the match with Victoria Yuzuki, who of course was the catalyst for this change in Rhea Sato. But I'd love to see her be really, really aggressive in trying to target the knee. Like the transition into the move and the move itself are great. I really want to see her wrench and bend the rules slightly, take all 5 seconds of the referee's 5 count just stuff like that. And that's stuff that will come, the more and more she teams with the likes of Nagisa Nozaki and Chiaki as well. But just a quick note about Chiaki, the loss did eliminate her from the tournament. Rhea Sato already eliminated anyway. So that is both members of Darkness Revolution from Dream League out of the tournament. Moving on then to another member of the Darkness Revolution, and another one losing because Misa Matsui suffered another loss at the hands of Kazuna Tanaka. Kazuna Tanaka, possibly powered by the fact that her mother was in the crowd. Huge reaction for Kazuna Tanaka, probably because she is one of the most beloved baby faces on the entire roster and is so effortlessly enjoyed by everyone in the crowd. Everyone seems to love Kazuna Tanaka. I don't think there's a single person that's got some bad word to say about her. And then the match was just a complete surprise because we are used to seeing Kazuna Tanaka fire up and be the underdog. What we're not used to seeing is her fighting in the crowd and initiating brawls in the crowd. And obviously, we know that Kazuna Tanaka is potentially still suffering with that back injury. Of course, her back is still heavily, heavily taped. But when they piled up the chairs and it looked like it would be Kazuna Tanaka taking the fisherman suplex into it, I was like, please don't. Oh my God, please don't. That poor girl's back will just, she won't have one. It'll just turn into dust. Please don't. And then she reversed it. It was Misa Matsui that took a really gnarly bump on those chairs. I don't think there's a way of taking that bump in a way that doesn't hurt. But this was great. Quick paced, aggressive, especially in some of those strikes. And I think these two partnered off really, really well. And it's great to see Kazuna Tanaka get that first win and the reaction of her mum as well. Her mum was just full of joy in the crowd as she picked up this win, Matt.
Yeah, it's kind of classic heel versus baby face 101. Whenever you have the clear heel and the clear baby face, whenever the heel has the advantage and they take out an illegal weapon, that 9 times out of 10 they're gonna eat it. Because if you're watching it, like, oh, now they're cheating to try to win, and then they break out the weapon, and they're the one that eats either the table or the chairs or whatever weapon, then you're kind of in the crowd watching, like, hi, you're the one that introduced it, so like, you made your bed, and now you have to lie in it. So I thought that was a really good spot, and I thought that spot came in really early. We've seen it in whether it's the Bullet Club matches or the Darkness Revolution matches, or even over in Stardom with the hate matches. Whenever they have these crazy brawls, it's usually at the bell or like 30 seconds after. Their crazy brawl was about halfway through their match. They start out with really great technical wrestling, a really great, almost high speed super flyweight championship style match, like really fast paced. And then they went into the striking. Misa Matsui, she has that beautiful flying knee, gets the advantage. Then Tanaka fires back with the strikes. The match goes to the outside. That's Misa Matsui's bread and butter. And they even said on commentary, that is not a place where Kazuna Tanaka wants to go, because the outside of the ring is where Darkness Revolution Army, that's where they're favored. She really takes it to Kazuna Tanaka, beats her up pretty much all over Korakuen Hall. Kazuna's eating these chairs, like getting whipped into them pretty bad. Misa wants to pour on more damage. She's really enjoying her handiwork, getting a great job getting heel heat and getting Kazuna Tanaka over with some sympathy. Ultimately, she eats the fisherman suplex into the pile of chairs. And yeah, it was a pretty gnarly bump because you have so many chairs stacked certain ways. So eventually one part of your body is going to hit a part where like the beam of the chair is. So not really fun to take. But at the same time, I understand Misa Matsui's trying to get Kazuna Tanaka and the match over. And bravo, because this was a phenomenal match. Really great strike. We go back in the ring. We go. It's that flying great near roll-ups exchanges. And again, this is the beauty of the Dream Star, because any one of these matches can end on one of those roll-ups. And I think Misa's won majority of, if not all of her matches with the European clutch. But it's Kazuna Tanaka able to reverse the European clutch into her dad's move, the heat clutch, for the 3 count. I thought this was phenomenal. I thought that this was Kazuna Tanaka's best match of the tournament thus far. I gave it 4 stars, buddy. I thoroughly loved it. I loved how we had technical wrestling. We had the high-speed Superfly style. We had the brawling. And then we had a really great a whole bunch of near falls at the end. So you had almost like 3 matches combined into one, and they made it work. The psychology made sense. And again, Kazuna Tanaka getting the 3 count, getting the upset win over Misa Matsui, and getting that great reaction after the referee counted to 3. There's nothing more that you can want in a professional wrestling match. 8 minutes, phenomenal. I would love to see these two go 10, 12, 14 minutes, because I thought just the chemistry and the story they told was really second to none. Again, 4 stars for me. Just a really phenomenal match.
Yeah, again, the chemistry between these two was fantastic. And again, it might be a very, very basic storytelling trope, but to see a daughter get the win with her dad's move in front of her mother, just it seemed like a very, very nice story to tell. Moving on to Chika Goto and Nagisa Nozaki. Chika Goto might legitimately be one of the most over people on this entire roster. And credit to her. I mean, bloody hell. You think about where we were in last year's tournament. And again, I've said this multiple times, but I can't quite get my head around the development of her. I'm not saying that she is, suddenly the world's greatest wrestler, but the change in aura, the change in the way that she approaches matches, the way that she has sort of worked around any shortcomings that she might have had in the ring and instead has worked this gritty style, this determined style, this emotionally passionate style, I think has benefited her exponentially. It really has. And against opponents like Nagisa Nozaki, that's where this style really comes into its own. Because again, she's an underdog. She's a determined underdog. I'm not sure how much she enjoyed the chops. Bear in mind, I don't know if you saw on Instagram, she showed them all, and she showed the war wounds on Instagram. They did not look like they tickled at all. But I thought these two did really well. The finish was interesting, with Chika Goto getting that into the giant swing that she momentarily forgot where she was. And I did quite enjoy the fact that Chika Goto was trying to argue her case while being too dizzy to stand on her own feet and keeps collapsing into the chairs. But it's an inventive way of getting the double count out, Matt.
Yeah, I thought this was really terrific. Again, Chika Goto, she comes out all full of fist and fire. She basically jumps Nagisa Nozaki, and that's
Yeah.
usually Nagisa Nozaki's deal. And you can kind of see that it was just like Nagisa's like, okay, eventually when the tide turns around, you are going to get a receipt. And she brings the forearm, she hits that question mark kick on the apron, and then starts pouring on the chops. And what it does is it builds absolute sympathy for Chika Goto because, again, Nagisa Nozaki is the clear heel. Chika Goto is the clear babyface. And Chika Goto, even jumping Nagisa before the bell, which can be asserted as kind of a heel thing, was getting a babyface reaction because the people absolutely love Chika Goto. And again, this just adds to this level of stacked roster that we're having in Marigold. Like, sure, you have your main eventers in Mirai and Mayu and Utami and Mai Sakurai, but then you have these other wrestlers that are really coming up the middle of the card, Robin, that are getting great reactions and drawing tickets in Korakuen Hall like at Chika Goto. So I thought that was great where they really gave her some babyface sympathy while showing what an absolute badass Nagisa Nozaki is. And this was just great, hard-hitting wrestling, right up my alley. Then they go to the outside, and I like how Chika Goto's building up the giant swing. Like, she can't get it, so eventually they have to go to the floor, and it's just like, now I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it in the entranceway here in Korakuen Hall. And everybody watch out, because if you don't watch out, you're going to get Nagisa Nozaki's head basically taking out your knees because she's just spinning around, spinning around. And after the second or third revolution, I was like, I wouldn't mind if we saw the old classic double count out here based on the giant swing. I'm like, they won't do it. Surely they won't do it. It would be really cool and would make sense for this match. But boy, howdy, that would be really cool. And sure enough, we got a double count out. I was like, I loved the finish. I thought it was great. I thought it was genius. It gives these two somewhere to go after the Dream Star if they want to go that way. Or again, Rob, if they want to go tag team way, because I mentioned last week and I think the week before as well, maybe reunite Chika Goto and Koki Amare and have them make a run for those tag team championships. And again, Nozaki, Chiaki, a really great tag team, and Nagisa and teaming with Misa as well. They're a great tag team. So maybe we can see a little tag team feud there. I'm all for that. 3 3/4 stars. I thought this was terrific, and I thought they left a lot of meat they left a lot of meat on the bone for them to come back and either do a singles or a tag. So there's a lot left there. You again, this was a great match, satisfying match. I not only did I not mind the finish, I thought it was perfect for what they were going for, but it made me wanting to have more after the Dream Star, where ultimately that's what you want to do. You want to run this back at the next Korakuen, or the Korakuen after the Dream Star, and again, maybe possibly a number one contenders tag match. I'm all for it because these two had really great chemistry. Again, 3 3/4 stars. Thoroughly enjoyed the match and loved the ending.
Talk about aggression. Victoria Yuzuki is up there as one of the most aggressive wrestlers in Marigold at the moment. And Obviously, by aggressive, I don't necessarily mean the utilization of weapons or anything like that, but in terms of just sheer determination to be the best at any cost whatsoever, Victoria Yuzuki is right at the top. And it feels like at the moment this is her block, certainly, to lose. And a victory over Maria here in what in my mind has been Maria's best match of the tournament. Even though Maria's had a really sort of low-key good tournament, I think this partnership with Victoria Yuzuki was great. And I think that does stem from the fact that Victoria Yuzuki has all of this, for lack of a better phrase, piss and vinegar, wanting to prove herself that in any way possible, as I mentioned. And then you've got Maria that could not care less. Like, I am in this tournament because I wandered into the wrong building sort of energy. So that sort of disparity between the two outlooks on this tournament, I think, made a really, really good matchup.
Yeah, again, we were kind of penciling this as if Yuzuki gets a win here. It's a possible title challenge for Celine Flora. I think that's what me and you really want to see a majority of the Marigold fan base. Because obviously, again, Magenta, they're the tag champs, but they're the outsiders. So they got to eventually drop them sooner than later. Although if they give them an 8-month run with those belts, I wouldn't say no because they're fantastic. But I think that everybody wants to see Celine Flora as the tag champs. As far as established tag teams in Marigold, I think they're probably the best option because I think they're the best wrestlers and they're really over with the crowd, especially here in Korakuen Hall. And you're absolutely right, partner. I totally agree with you. Maria's had a really good tournament, but this is her best match, again, in my opinion, and in yours as well. Match starts out with great technical wrestling. Really great, like Ricky Steamboat deep style arm drags. Just beautifully done back and forth between the two. And then the pace quickens. Then the match gets a little down and dirty where Maria, because she has the experience and she's the heel in this match, she gets the advantage. The match goes to the floor. Yuzuki eats the chairs. Yuzuki, as you said, partner, all full of P and V. She comes back really strong, hits the beautiful dive to the floor, and then a basement dropkick. We get some great near falls back and forth between the two. Yuzuki hits a super kick and a beautiful back suplex. That only scores her 1 count as Maria fires up. We get great back and forth between the two. Yuzuki is able to put Maria down and hit that twisting shooting star press that she calls the victory shooting for the 3 count. I had this at 4 stars, buddy. Again, another great match on a phenomenal show. And kudos to the commentating team because really at the start of this match and the beginning of this match, they were really like giving you the subtle hints that Yuzuki's she really wants to hit that victory shooting. She really wants to hit it. She's perfected that move in the dojo leading up to this tournament. So they're kind of like sprinkling in. So then when you saw it, you're like, oh yeah, that's clearly where they're going. And again, to quote Stan Lee, the late great Stan Lee always used to say, every comic is somebody's first comic. And this very well could have been the very first Marigold show for some fans. So they did a great job. The commentating team did a great job sprinkling in, like, she's going to be looking for this move. Watch out for it. And then she hit it, like, there it was. We told you it was going to happen. It was right there in front of you. Again, great job on the commentating team. Again, not only Sonny and Stu, where we see them quite a bit, or every Korakuen Hall show, but entering having Tom on this show as well. I thought his interactions with the 3 of them were terrific. But again, perfect job planting the seeds for the finish, and then boom, right there. Again, wrestling sometimes, folks, can be really, really simple. I think as fans, we overcomplicate it. Again, this match was terrific. 4 stars for me, buddy. Again, very much like I said with Chika Goto and Nagisa Nozaki on the last match, I would like for this match to go to a tag team match. But again, with the richest prize in all of tag team wrestling for Marigold on the line with the Twin Star Tag Team Championships, I would love to see Magenta taking on Celine Flora for those belts.
I just really hope that it's not Kazuna Tanaka that takes the pinfall, but I've got a horrible feeling it probably will be, even though I am, as you mentioned, desperate to see Celine Flora be the ones to end Magenta's reign. And maybe we'll see that at Grand Destiny. Maybe we'll see a challenge at the next show. Maybe there will be a title defense in between the end of the Dream Star and Grand Destiny on October 26th, which I'm hoping for. And maybe that's where we'll see Celine Flora take the titles. Moving on, Koki Amare and Seri Yamaoka. Both of these women, by the way, in danger of being eliminated from the tournament. Basically, the loser of this match was hoping for a Mayu Iwatani win. And I thought these two wrestled a really, really entertaining match. And again, Koki Amare, for me, this is her best performance of the tournament so far. Really melding that sort of aggressive nature with those big boots and things like that with a really good sort of underdog babyface performance in defense, because she was being ragdolled by Seri Amoka. And let's take a moment to appreciate that Seri Amoka, A, is 18. Like, people forget that she is still only 18. And B, the way that she is able to manhandle or womanhandle the likes of Koki Amare, who is noticeably bigger than her, is the power never ceases to amaze me. And there's plenty of little spots in this match that really do sort of stand out as, good God, Seri Amoka is quite good at this whole wrestling thing, isn't she? I think it was the gut wrench that she got Koki up with, and you're like, good God, like, Koki hasn't jumped there. Koki's not helped her at all. That's all the power from Seri Amoka. And again, that's impressive. Really, really impressive.
Wait do you see the match that she had today with Maria, because she throws her around pretty good too.
Yeah, can't imagine Maria's going to be helping her out much in that match.
She didn't need to. Yeah, you're absolutely right, buddy. Seri's great. You know, we talk about this from time to time, and I kind of want to bring it up now. I think one of the many things that makes Rasi Ogawa such a genius booker, it'd be one thing like, okay, here are your matches. But like, it's the way that they're structured, the way he puts them on the card, which really does mean a lot. I know some people like just, okay, this match is going to be a great show. But the way you build your card with your matches really adds on to a great show. And you can literally see this show really forming together. Again, I had a lot of people that say, hey, Matt, what matches should I watch? Like, look, watch all of them, because the way this card builds. Now, Rob, we just talked about the match before with Yuzuki and Maria being a more fast-paced style match, where this was more of a grinder style. They really grinded things down. Match starts out with a big lockup, strong lockup. I'll really put that over. Seri's using that amateur style to really grind Koki down. Like, he does the double leg, trying to switch over, trying to get the armbar, trying to get the headlock. Koki comes back, and then she uses a headlock, and then she uses a few body slams to kind of start grinding Seri Yamaoka down. It was a different pace than we saw the last match, but different in a great way, because it worked to both these styles. We get the hard-hitting stuff, the forearms, the big boots. Seri's kind of almost trying to gauge her distance to get to those suplexes, where Koki's trying to keep her at bay with the forearms and those big boots. So I really like that story. Seri winds up hitting a big spear and then the gut-wrench suplex, which that's kind of like her bread and butter now. We'll see the spear into the gut-wrench suplex, which psychology-wise makes sense, because the spear hits you in the ribs, and the gut-wrench suplex is the suplex that lands you on your ribs. So I like that. That scored her a 2 count. And then she hits a Northern Light suplex. That scored her a 2 count. And then Koki Amare just comes back. Great fighting spirit. Hits the big boot and that spine buster. That was a 2 count. And then eventually she hits that huge backdrop suplex. That keeps Seri Yamaoka down enough for Koki to go to the top rope and hit that beautiful amethyst butterfly splash. Just another great match on this great show, Rob. This is another 4-star match for me, as we're 6 matches into the show, and I have 3 of the matches at 4 stars, and somehow it just kept getting better from there.
Yeah, the partnerships that they say for this Korakuen Hall show were great. And again, this is going to be something similar as we get towards that final night in Korakuen as well. And again, I anticipated them outselling, obviously, this show, which was a really good number again. So 3 back-to-back 1,000 plus shows at Korakuen for Marigold is a great, great achievement for them. Third match from the top then, Miko Ono and Chanyota. And obviously, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Miko Ono. Obviously, long-haired Utami is getting a lot of the plaudits at the moment. However, ponytail Miko Ono should not be sniffed at, because a lot of power in that ponytail. However, the aura in Chanyota. Like, we talk about aura. You know, you've got Chika Goto, who waltzes through the curtain carrying herself with, the jacket, the skirt, and everything like that. You talk about Mayu Utani coming out, the jacket, the baseball, the ever-impending threat that she might trip over and blow something up. Utami is aura personified. However, Chanyota comes out, hands in the pockets of a bomber jacket, and suddenly feels like the biggest thing on the show. That's really, really impressive. And I think that Chanyota, who I am really, really hoping. Obviously, I know that she is part of PPP Tokyo, and I know that that is where she plies her trade. I am hoping beyond hope that we see more and more and more of her in Marigold, because we get to see matches like this where she can just beat the hell out of someone and have the hell beaten out of her by that same person. And we get this frantic 9-minute result. And again, I love Chanyota. I think she's fantastic. I think she is someone else who is progressing every single time we see her in the ring, even though she's on an absolutely awful losing streak in this Dreamstar Grand Prix. And I thought her and Miko Ano were beautifully accenting each other in this match, because again, you've got the shoulder tackles, you've got the strike, they're heavy strikes, and Chanyota at some point burst open. I don't know when that happened, but that visual of just basically lobbing Miko Ano across the ring as her mouth is pouring with blood was really quite an exciting visual and epitomized what they were trying to get out of this match.
Yeah, going back to what you said, Miko Ano with the ponytail, we should just refer to it as Ponytail Bushido.
Yes, agreed.
Point, yeah. Which agreed, I believe that was that with Shiri and Himika? Wasn't that their dream?
Shiri and Micah.
Shiri and Micah. Boy, what? Take a step back and think about that team now. Holy jeepers! No. It's like the mega powers. You're absolutely right. Even with Chanyota, just with the thing with the bomber jacket, is you never know. Try something a little bit new, and it might just start turning a little bit more heads. It's the little things in wrestling. It's the storytelling. It just on the entrance. And you're absolutely right, buddy. I didn't even think about it until you said it. She just puts her hands in her pockets, and she's all of a sudden like the coolest person in school just by doing something simple like that. And then the match starts, and again, you know what you're going to get in this one, Rob. It's going to be hard hitting. Kind of no BS, right up my alley, pro wrestling. And that's what you got. You got the big lockup. You got a little bit of a wrist lock exchanges. You get a tackle off, which Miko Ano doesn't lose, but looks like she's about to lose, because I think after the second tackle exchange, it's like, yeah, this isn't my cup of tea. If I stay here, I'm going to lose this. So what does she do? She goes right to the low leg kicks. Mm-hmm. Makes sense, because that's Miko Ano. Again, she trains at the K1 Kickboxing Dojo. That's her strength, the kicks. Chanyota is obviously very strong. Where does most of her strength come from? From her legs. So she's trying to chop her down. That really makes sense. She gets the advantage there. She starts throwing forearms. She hits the Shibata-style dropkick in the corner. Miko Ano's really been using the Rainmaker a lot. And the way she builds it and the way she hits it, it's amazing. I love the fact that she's added that move into her already impressive arsenal. Excellent stuff there. Chanyota comes back and she starts grinding down on the knees of Miko Ano. She locks in the Nagata lock number 2, which I thought that was great. Mm-hmm. Chanyota hits a big Saito suplex, but Miko Ano just fires back with some kicks. Chanyota with a big lariat. And Miko Ano just shows a lot of fighting spirit. Hits a huge kick combination. She hits a buzzsaw kick. That opens up the door for the Styles Clash. You're absolutely right. This was 9 minutes of up-in-your-face action. Like, this was just two hard hitters just swinging for the fences pretty much from the time the bell rang. And I thought 9 minutes to tell their story in that style was absolutely perfect. Rob Goen, this is, for me, another 4-star match. This was absolutely fantastic. And out of all the 4 stars that I've given so far, this was my favorite of the 4-star matches. This was styles make fights, and these two really had the perfect style. And you can tell Miko Ano she needed to go in this one with a win, because a loss really would have put her on the back burner. But Rob Goen, this is one that I think me and you, when we were previewing the show, we're like, yeah, Miko Ano is definitely going to win this one. And we got this one right. But like I say, Rob, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got absolutely everything else wrong to do with this tournament. But yes, Miko Ano still alive and kicking. So our predicted winner of the tournament is still possible, despite her slow start, let's say. Moving on to the semi-main event, Mai Sakurai and Mirai. For me, a real surprise that Mai Sakurai came out of this as the winner. Obviously, Mai Sakurai has got Miko Ano on the final night, and that is increasingly looking like a winner gets to the final, a block final, if you will. But after what can only be described as a disappointing tournament last year for Mirai, and then what can only be described as another disappointing tournament, at least in terms of results for Mirai here, it's certainly an interesting time to be a fan, because What I think we are getting here, and I've mentioned this before when it comes to Mirai, is you are waiting on the story. You're waiting for the redemption. You're waiting for that apex moment where she overcomes the adversity. She overcomes this losing streak, this inability to finally capture that big moment to eventually win what we presume will be the Marigold World Championship. And again, I imagine that we will get something here where Mirai will claim she never submitted. However, I did see something on Twitter actually, and this perfectly epitomizes the way that I feel about Mai Sakurai. And it was just an apology letter for having ever doubted Mai Sakurai's talent. And boy, howdy, do I agree with that, because I thought she was fantastic here, dealt out a load of aggressive offense and absorbed just some unreal heavy lariats from Mirai. Obviously, before you talk about the match, Matt, what are your thoughts on the booking of Mirai? Because I know that there are Mirai fans that listen to this, and I can almost hear the veins popping in their temples. I really can. Obviously, we know that Mirai is going to be a world champion at some point. I feel like that is more of an if. More of a when as opposed to an if. But at the moment, it seems to be a case of she almost gets there and then it's pulled. She's just about to score a goal and the goalposts are moved. And I wonder if that is just building towards that underdog story of, a fantastic cathartic moment for Mirai when eventually it does go her way.
That's a good point. I mean, again, you look over at the Stardom, all the massive Momo Watanabe fans were like, she's won the Wonder Belt, but like ever since that she lost it, she's never won the big one. And then finally beating Izumi to win the 5-star just about 2 weeks ago. A lot of the Momo fans were just all up in, just tears because of the anticipation that it was built. And maybe that's what they're doing with Mirai. Like, and not just yet. Wait till the time is right, and maybe even wait a little bit longer. That's a possibility. I think that me and you both have Mirai getting a win here. Like, even when we did our big prime, we're like, Mariah's going to win this one. It's Korakuen Hall. It's going to be a loud reaction. And then, it's going to set up your big main event with Mayu and Atami. And again, Rossi did a genius job putting this card together in the match order because it just kept building and building and building.
Really did.
And then obviously you have your white belt champion semi-main event and your red belt champion on as your main event. So that makes perfect sense as well. So yeah, Mariah's going to get a win here, and then she'll basically challenge Mai Sakurai, and you get the match in Sumo Hall at Grand Destiny, and then you'll get the big Mirai challenge, the big Mirai. Yeah, she won. She finally won in front of what'll probably be like 4,000 people in Sumo Hall. So that didn't happen here. So it's like, well, we still have time to get there. The fact that she didn't, you're right, buddy. You mentioned a couple times already on today's show that the fact the referee had to stop it. So there's a possibility there. Do you have Mirai beat Mai Sakurai like in a few tag matches leading up? Sure, you can do that to gaslight this back up. And, considering the fact that they were the first winners of the Twin Star Cup and the first Twin Star Tag Team Champions, you can play off that as well. They were in Don Del Mundo together. There's a lot of history that you can build up that it really wouldn't take too much to gaslight it up. I still would have had Mirai get a win here because, again, Korakuen Hall, over 1,000 people, a lot of people watching this show on Wrestle Universe because of just how great this show was. I thought it might have been a big opportunity to get Mariah a statement win here. Regardless, I thought the match was terrific.
Match was fantastic.
Match was great. My second favorite match of this show, and I believe it landed number 5 as my favorite matches of the week over on the YouTube channel, which I'm sure you know what number 1 was. Number 2 was Mina versus Athena, because that match was insane. But anyway, another story for another day. I liked how, because they know each other so well, there's a lot of counter wrestling in the first 3 or 4 minutes. Like, nobody can really get the advantage because they know each other really well. And then it kind of got down and dirty with the chops, the forearms, and Sakurai just firing up with the running Yakuza kicks. Like, it really got brutal in the best way possible, which I thought was great. Halfway through the match, Mai Sakurai locks in the STF, which I like that because you're building towards that. Again, that's the move that has brought her so many wins. That is the move that brought her that pure white belt. That's the move that brought her to the finals of this tournament last year. And Mirai really knows that. It's like Mai Sakurai's like, look, I'm hitting her she hits with the STK, and Mirai kicks out at 1. She hits it with her running boot. She hits it with a shining black. Nothing can put Mirai away. Sakurai's like, I know I have a move in my arsenal that could put Mirai away, but Mirai is getting out of it every which way because she knows me so well. So you can see the frustrations on my Sakurai. Mirai fires back with the leaping lariat, the mirror Mirai shock that scores her a 2 count. They go to the top rope. They have a top rope fight. My Sakurai hits a top rope glorious driver. Didn't see that coming. That doesn't put away Mirai. And you can see Sakurai just getting really, really frustrated. Brutal forearm exchange. Mirai hits a huge lariat. That scores her a 2 count. She goes for another lariat. Mirai is able to block that, hits a snap suplex into the STF, and then transitions almost into like a choke into the STF, which I really like that. So Mirai not tapping on it. Like every time she gets to the rope, Sakurai rolls her back. And then she tries to get the rope, and she just keeps like transitioning from a different variation of the STF to really just show like how much she has learned from this move in different ways, not only to get into it, to make different variations of it. Because even though Mirai does know how to get out of the traditional STF, she doesn't know how to get out of certain variations of it, which was, again, a great strategy from Mai Sakurai and a really great storytelling between these two, forcing Mirai to pass out. Wow, this was phenomenal for so many different ways. 4.25 stars for me. My opinion, Sakurai's best match of the tournament and Mirai's best match of the tournament. I thought this was phenomenal. If they do decide to run this back in Sumo Hall, with could be in front of 3,500 to 4,000 people, if the main event is what we think the main event should be or is going to be. Again, yes.
Well, we've talked obviously about, we'll talk a little bit about this later on, but we talked about it potentially being Mayu and Io. Io may potentially be, looking to wind down a little bit after a hectic schedule with WWE as the champion. Of course, we now know that she's in another championship match at WrestlePalooza. So, again, she might be champion again by this point. I doubt it, but she might be.
Tune in to Io and Kyrie watch, because for as much as we're going to look at Julia, it's Monday Night Io yet again. And by the way, real quick, I know we're already off topic. I was at the gym this morning, and they always have SportsCenter on because ESPN now has a deal with WWE. They showed highlights of Kyrie. I was like, Kyrie's on ESPN. That's amazing. Good for her. Good for our Pirate Princess. Anywho, I love the finish of this match. I love how, again, they built towards Mai Sakurai, knowing that the only way she could beat Mirai is by going to the STF. But Mirai knew all the tricks, and Sakurai knew when she finally had her locked in that I'm going to have to do a different variation of it. I just thought that was storytelling on top of storytelling, really deep level stuff here. 4.25 stars. This match was genius, absolute genius.
And then we get to the main event. Mayu Iwatani versus Utami Hayashishita. With all of the hype surrounding it, you could have quite easily just let this breathe as a dream match, but I've deliberately not said anything about the team of Stu Fulton, Tom Fain, and Sonny Gutierrez on commentary, because I think doing a 3-man booth is never easy. And I think even the best 3-man booths have moments where they're tripping over each other and things like that. In this match, I thought the 3 men did an absolutely phenomenal job at building on the history of these 2 women. It wasn't just about the fact that, right, these 2 are 2 of the best wrestlers in the world. They're having a singles match, the first singles match in Marigold. And I genuinely thought that was what we were going to get, and I'd have been absolutely fine with that. But instead, because especially Sonny, who was, has been there for the entirety of Utami's career, he was able to bring such a wonderful insight into this match and call back on that history. And the 2 women in 15 minutes managed to take us on a whistle-stop tour of all of the biggest spots of all of their previous matches. And on top of that, before we get into that, we get into the stuff with the Fubuki Rana, the targeting of Mayu's neck from Utami, all of that stuff, the horrible lawn dart, all of these fantastic moments. The fact that they had then added the layer of, okay, Mayu, you're the icon. I was here first. This company was built on my shoulders. I was the ace to start with. I was the person around which this company is going to be built. I am the one whose nickname is the talent of the century. Okay. And this effectively became a battle of who is on top of the company. Mayu coming in later, obviously, in my eyes, the greatest Joshi wrestler in the world and of the last, 20 years. And you've got Utami, who is one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet at the moment. And yet they were able to tell so many different little stories in this match. In 15 minutes, by the way, in 15 minutes, they did a magnificent job. This was exciting. It had that big match feel. It felt special and it lived up to the hype. These two women threw absolutely everything at each other to the point where I would argue that Utami was as exhausted after this match as she was after going 56 minutes with Takumi Iroha. There was that much emotion. There was that much thrown by both. This is a truly special match. It's a very, very, very special match. It's easily the best match of the tournament so far. It's arguably the best Marigold match of the year so far. It's certainly one of the greatest Marigold matches of all time. And I say that obviously 18 months into existence, or however many months into existence they are.
But there's been some great matches. There's been some great matches in 18 months. It's amazing what this company's done already.
That is more indicative of just how good this match is, as opposed to matches in Marigold's history. I mean, we could reel off 10 outstanding matches that have come from this company, but this match tops it. And that is, for me, indicative of just how damn good this match was, because it came in with a lot of expectation, a weight of expectation. This was the match that everyone had ringed from this Dreamstar Grand Prix, because I don't know about you, but when it was announced, the blocks were announced, and Utami and Mayu were in the same block. I'm immediately going down and seeing where that match is taking place, when that match is taking place. And again, absolutely outstanding wrestling from two of the best to ever do it. Beautiful storytelling, little nuggets of history dropped in there. Beautiful spot with the Fubuki Rana, which of course is how Mayu beat Utami for the in the IWGP Women's Championship match. Utami catching her with that dragon suplex, which is how Mayu beat Utami in the 5-star Grand Prix. And then of course you've got Utami targeting the neck of Mayu, which is how Utami beat Mayu for the World of Stardom Championship. All of these little things converge to make this such a joy to watch. And again, I thought Sonny and Stu and Tom did a great job of knowing when to let the match breathe and knowing when to add little nuggets of historical information and things like that to really accent the viewing. And I think that's why Stu and Sonny, especially because they've been together, I think that's where that chemistry between those two has really shown, especially over the last couple of big Korakuen Hall shows. Phenomenal match, Matt Turner. I know you agree, as you've already told me you agreed. You already said it was number one of your 5 matches of the week. But I was so happy that this lived up to the hype. And I'm also happy that we didn't just have Mayu go over. Because even though there might be an argument that, you want your biggest draw, which Mayu arguably, well, not even arguably, the proof is very much in the stats. Mayu is your biggest draw. However, you don't want to bury Utami by just dismissing Utami, who, by the way, I've seen loads of stuff online about, Utami isn't wrestling at her best. Utami's not quite at peak performance, all of that nonsense. And Jen, just look at this match. Look at her match with Takumi Iroha. Look at her match with Bozil. Like, all her catalog of matches just carries on. Like, she is one of the best to do it. And she's only been wrestling for 7 years. And she's still in her mid-20s. Like, it's mad how much she's still got to give. And I think that's why it was wise not to just give the match to Mayu. Because, again, once Mayu's gone, Utami is going to still be in that company. Obviously injuries, fingers crossed, but Utami is going to be the one. And again, wonderful chemistry. Can't wait for them to run it back. Tremendous. Absolutely. I was going to swear then. Absolutely tremendous.
Disclaimer. I think we're allowed one. Anywho, before we have to put a disclaimer up. Yeah, I mean, you put everything really perfectly, my friend. Again, great job from the commentating team, not only calling this, but especially with Sonny talking about the history. As you said, he was there obviously for not only every Utami Mayu match, but every Utami match, because she debuted in 2018 and he's been there since. And you're right. I mean, they met in the finals of the 5-star in 2018. Mayu won. Then they met in 2020 after Utami won the 5-star, and Utami upset Mayu to win the World of Stardom Championship. They had a great, and I want to get into what your top Utami versus Mayu matches are. Their match in the semifinals for the IWGP Championship was phenomenal, and then they ran it back about a year. They ran it back about a year later when the belt was actually when the belt was on the line. Like my one thing, like I knew this was going to be great. I was like, man, one of the many great things about Utami and Mayu is the longer the match they have, the better story they tell. Again, we've seen Utami, Takumi Roha go over 15 minutes. The two matches with Shuri were around 40 minutes. Mayu, you know, when she gets that, again, she's great in these short spurts. Again, look at that match she had with the Zumi at the Tokyo Dome earlier this year. Wrestle Kingdom that went like 7-8 minutes was still mind-blowing. But Mayu, I think, is at her best when she's telling that match that goes 15, 16, 17, 18 minutes, where we knew this had a 15-minute cap. But like, it's still going to be a great match. You have your feeling out process to start, and eventually this thing, it doesn't take long before Mayu gets into complete Mayu mode. Basically, the basement dropkick to Utami, hits that beautiful suicide dive to the floor, and boy, folks, here we go. Utami comes back, she hits a backdrop suplex onto the floor, because why not? Again,
because why not?
Again, I didn't. This match literally started, Rob, when I got home from Death Before Dishonor, because technically the clock turned into Saturday, and I was like, man, I really need to go to bed. But I woke up to a whole bunch of tweets saying, wait till you see how great this match was. And I was watching this show, and I was like, they're really going to have to pull all the stops to be better than the matches that I've just seen. But it's Mayu and Utami. So I know that they'll get there. And boy, howdy did they get there. Utami throws Mayu in the ring after she dropped her on the floor with that back suplex, hits a couple sliding lariats. Mayu hits a German, Utami hits a German, then Mayu comes back not only with a German, but with a dragon. It's like, okay, now we're really amping up the velocity here. I thought that was great. Mayu goes for a pair of kicks. Utami blocks the one mid kick with a power bomb, which we've seen her do quite a bit against the strikers, the Momos, the Sherrys. So it's like, that's kind of like Utami baiting Mayu in, like, I'll take 2 or 3, but eventually you're going to get dropped on your head. And Mayu got dropped on her head. I thought that was really great stuff there. Tommy hits the torture rack bomb. That scores her a 2 count. She goes for the hijack bomb, which, correct me if I'm wrong, partner, the torture rack bomb into the hijack bomb combination is what got her the World of Stardom Championship 5 years ago. I think it was the back-to-back. So I liked how they're playing on that. Who Tommy's like, I know I got this move that can beat you because it beat you 5 years ago, and this move is more powerful now than it was 5 years ago. And folks, if you don't believe me, watch that Dream Queendom match back in 2022 where she planted Kairi in the middle of the ring, and I still think Kairi's DNA is still stuck in that Stardom mat. But anywho, Mayu, she hits the super kick, and then she goes for the top rope Poison Rana. And I love the fact that she went for this twice in this match and didn't get it, because again, that's what did Utami in back at the IWGP tournament. And she stops the Fubuki Rana. I'm like, yeah, she's not going to hit it just yet. It's too early. And she's the top rope air raid crash. So it's like, oh, we're really focusing. You're right. You're really focusing on the neck. Not only these big bumps with the Germans and the torture rack bomb, but those forearms and lariats. The psychology of it is to aim at her opponent's neck. And Utami's throwing these with really, really great violence in a safe way possible, folks. Hits the top rope air raid crash. That scores her a 2 count. Now Tommy's like, okay, now I have you softened up for the hijack bomb. Picks her up for the hijack bomb, and the way she holds it and the way it just builds, like just waiting for the crowd to be at a high pitch, because they're like, ooh. Once they hit here, Mayu hits the Hurricanrana. 2.9 count off that. Utami gets up. She's all dizzy dazed. Was it 3? Was it 3? By the time she figures out that it wasn't 3, Mayu's already around her in the crucifix and hits the crucifix bomb, obviously known as the Dodon Pie. That scores her a 2 count. She hits a kick combination. She goes to the top rope, finally able to hit a top rope move here, hits the moonsault for a 2.999 count. And Mayu's like, that's it. We've seen this before. When somebody kicks out of the moonsault, there's 1 or 2 ways to go, either the two-step, or the Fubuki Rana. She knows she can defeat Utami with that. She goes for the 2-step drag, or the Fubuki Rana. Utami catches her in midair, holds her.
Beautiful.
And then hits the 2-step dragon onto Mayu. I was like, oh my God, that was amazing. We've seen the Fubuki Rana countered by 1 or 2 ways, Rob. Either you get out of the way, or if you're Momo Watanabe, you hit Mayu with the baseball bat. So,
well, yeah, obviously.
I thought this was great, because now you're like 13 minutes in, and not just 13 minutes in, 13 minutes at an exhausting pace. And Utami just catches Mayu as if she weighs like 5 pounds, holds her, and again, it's the pause. It's the little things in wrestling, partner, as you know from doing this podcast with me for 4 years, that she just dropped her into the 2-step dragon. Wow, that's great. The fact that she paused and waited to get that reaction, like, make sure everybody in Korakuen Hall sees that we've seen Mayu do this move for 3 years now, and nobody's ever countered it like this. And this match is already 5 stars. Holds her and then hits it. When she grabbed her like that, I'm like, oh, she's going to hit a German, because Utami, in my opinion, has one of the best German suplexes in all of wrestling, to the point where I'm like, she should just make that her finishing hold. I love the hijack bomb, but the way she does the German, I think, is next level. I'm like, she's going to hit a German here. And she doesn't. She hits the 2-step dragon onto Mayu. I don't think anybody's ever done that to Mayu before. What a perfect time to do it, because it was not only that, but it was like, the heck with you, Mayu. Again, everything, ever since you came to this company, everything's been based around you. You're the icon. You're arguably the greatest Joshi, or even the greatest women's wrestler of all time. But I'm still the cornerstone of this company. Plants her. That was a statement move right there. Plants her, gets a 2.9 count, and was like, okay, now I definitely have her worn down enough. Will the third time be the charm for the torture rack bomb, the hijack bomb? She hits it, but the time expires. Beautiful match, beautiful storytelling. And again, it's one thing if you could do the moves, right? And that's all cool. It's one thing when you have the psychology and the storytelling. That's all cool. But when you can meld it together and a 7-year history of storytelling that was done on the commentating booth and in the ring, this is as good as pro wrestling gets. This is 5 stars for me, Rob. I have to go back and watch Utami versus Suri for the red belt at the beginning of this year, because I haven't seen it in a few months. But in my opinion, it's either that match or this match is my favorite Marigold match of the year. This is probably on my short list of my favorite professional wrestling matches of any company. Probably with the exception of Utami and Io, and again, Utami versus Suri, probably the best match in Marigold's short history. This is the match of the tournament. No disrespect to all the other great matches that we're going to see. Nobody's catching this. I'm sorry. Nobody's catching this. This was absolutely fantastic. We knew it was going to be good, but for them to tell the different levels of storytelling that they did, adding the moves, babyface versus babyface, your 2 biggest stars, your 2 best wrestlers, no disrespect to the other great wrestlers on the roster, in a loaded Korakuen Hall, what you have just done, Rob, without even knowing who's going to be in the finals for the next Korakuen show, you have just sold a boatload of tickets to the next Korakuen show, because there's no way that anybody left this show thinking, it was just okay. This was a phenomenal next level show. And then you get to this match where you get a match of the year candidate. Again, not just in Joshi, not just in Marigold, but in professional wrestling, having 2 of the best wrestlers go at it for 15 minutes nonstop with levels of psychology and storytelling. Again, 5 stars. Absolutely terrific. Now, Rob, I'm gonna ask you an impossible question. Before I ask the question, I will give you your buffer. There is no wrong answer. Where does this rank off the top of your head as far as the Mayu and Utami matches go?
Oh,
you want me to go first to give you a minute?
Yeah, go on, give me a minute.
Because I was thinking about this just the other day. This I love their semifinal match for the IWGP tournament. I thought that after Mayu won, then Kyrie came out. We knew it was going to be Mayu and Kyrie. That is number 1 for me. This one is probably, I'm going to say, the red belt match, even though it was a COVID crowd and there wasn't much noise. And you understand why. That probably takes 2, but this is like 2B for me. I like this one better than their 5-star match from 2018. I even like this better than their IWGP championship match from 2023. That's how much I liked it. Again, difference number 1 for me is that semifinal match. I just thought that was just complete next level. But this one and the red belt title change is right there. I think the red belt title change match might have been a better wrestled match, but the fact you had the crowd participation, because it's not a COVID crowd and it's Korakuen, you had the crowd reaction there again. But it's kind of, ask me on different days, you'll get a different answer. This is either the silver medal or the bronze medal for me. And now that I'm talking about it, I think that I may watch the Mayu versus Utami IWGP tournament match after we get done recording. But this is, you talk about wrestlers that have just next level chemistry. We forget how great these 2 are together. Again, we just talked about their matches, all the matches that they had in Stardom. You had this, and I got a feeling that we're going to see these 2 run it back quite a few times over the next few years. So at the end of the day, Rob, who's the ultimate winners? We are the fans. We are the fans, buddy. But that's kind of my top 2, top 3. How about, let's say you, good sir?
I mean, I've got a real soft spot for that World of Stardom Championship match. Despite me, you can listen in the archives about how much I absolutely hate that crowd, who even for a clap crowd just are just deathly still. This had a frenesity that I don't even know if that's a word. Let's say it is.
It is now.
Yeah,
Quote.
a frantic nature. Let's call it that. That the other matches didn't have, and I think because of the story they were telling, that makes this a completely unique match to all of the others that we've seen. And the IWGP Women's Championship semi-final match was outstanding. Again, it's a cop-out to a certain extent, but you could ask me, as you mentioned, you could ask me on different days and I'd have different answers. I'm going to say the World of Stardom Championship match just because it's my first like big wow moment of watching Stardom. Like, what, I did not see that coming at all. But this comes very, very, very close. You know, all of these matches are tremendous, and even the 2018 5-star Grand Prix final, which you know is again it's probably at the bottom of this pile, but it's like asking who's the poorest billionaire, isn't it? Really, like it's at the bottom of the pile, but it's a great pile to be at the bottom of. They all have their unique features that make them a great match. However, I think that World of Stardom Championship match, closely followed by this and the IWGP Women's Championship semi-finals, are up there as three unbelievable matches.
Rob, would you call Utami and Mayu basically Joshi farmers? And what I mean by that is, you think that they're both outstanding in their field?
Was the Star Wars joke alone not enough for you?
Never is, buddy. It never is.
Oh, repulsive.
Yes.
Let's have a look then at the Dream Star as it stands. So first of all, we have the Dream League. That Utami draw against Mayu did eliminate Seri Yamaoka and Maria. So 4 women now eliminated from Dream League. Utami Hayashishita sits at the top with 9 points. Victoria Yuzuki just behind on 8, but with a match in hand and the tiebreaker over Utami. Koki then next with 6 points. Mayu with 5, and then you're eliminated for Seri Yamaoka and Maria both on 4. Ria Sato and Chiaki on 2 points apiece. We go to Star League next. Mai Sakurai with that, at least for me and you, surprise victory over Mirai, sits atop the pile on 8 points. Nagisa Nozaki then in second with 7. Misa Matsui on 6. Chanyota on 4. Mirai on 3. Chika Goto on 3. Miko Aono on 3. And then propping up the rest of the block with that first victory. And with the most outside of all outside chances of qualifying for the final, Kazuna Tanaka with 2 points. Although she has been eliminated today at Shinjuku Face, but we won't talk about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, just very, very quickly before we do have the briefest glimpse at Julia, just a reminder that obviously today we did have the show in Shinjuku Face. We're not going to be reviewing that today because we haven't had chance yet, but just a reminder of the tournament matches on that card from the Dream League. Koki Amare versus Mayu Iwatani. Not Senka. Maria, sorry, I've still got Senka Akatsuki written here, versus Seri Yamaoka, and Victoria Yuzuki versus Ria Sato. In the Star League, Chika Goto versus Chanyota, Miko Aono versus Kazuna Tanaka. We've then got night 10, which is on the 6th of September, which is this coming Saturday. 3 matches there. Dream League, Chiaki versus Mayu Iwatani. 2 Star League matches, Misa Matsui versus Mirai and Miko Aono versus Nagisa Nozaki. Mirai has to win every single match now and hope for results to benefit her elsewhere. That, by the way, is on the 6th of September from the Wolfart Toyama in Toyama. Night 11, the following day on the Sunday, the 7th, is from my Prefectural Cultural Center. Only 2 matches on there. The Star League matches, Mirai versus Kazuna Tanaka, Chika Goto versus Miku Aono. And then, of course, night 12, 14th of September, which is a week on Sunday, we have got the grand final. 8 block matches followed by the final, and we will preview that next week alongside the show from the 2nd, potentially the shows from the 6th and the 7th, depends on the uploads on Wrestle Universe, but we will definitely preview the finals nevertheless. Matt Turner, then, without much ado, we are going to have the world's shortest gaze. It's Julia.
Again, thank you to our good friend Darren Chatton, the biggest Newcastle fan, Darren Chatton.
Let's not. Don't need to talk about it, do we? Definitely don't need to mention it.
Why, did something happen? I really don't know. I'm not even joking. You want me to move on?
We'll talk about it in the Q&A because friend of the show Jasper has asked a fantastic question.
Okay, as Rob Slugs, I'm sure there's a straight vodka in that cup. Anywho,
absolutely.
Again, thanks, Darren. So basically, we've been building up to Michin, also known as Mia Yim, wrestling Julia for that United States Championship. But she has to go through Kiana James. Mia Yim does get the win over Kiana James, but Julia jumps Mia Yim, beats her up, gives her the old curb stomp into the steps. Again, that's setting up. Maybe Friday, maybe this Friday, we will have Julia in the ring for the first time, which seems like to be in a long time. But that's it, buddy. That is your gaze at the lovely Julia, my friend. The beautiful madness. So it's nice to see her at least kind of out of the backstage and kind of kicking some ass, where that's what she does best, kicking some ass. But they have, even though it's a slow burn, they are definitely they're building up Julia versus Mia Yim, which again, hopefully that does happen either this or next Friday.
It's just a shame that they took some time off the bloodline because I don't feel like that storyline gets enough of the TV time over on SmackDown. Bloody Julia. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that does wrap us up for this episode of the Marigold Standard. Please don't forget, we will be back next week to talk about the remaining shows and preview that final Korakuen Hall 14th of September, when we'll find out who will be crowned the 2025 Dreamstar Grand Prix winner. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. We truly appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't already, don't forget brand new links for the new podcast feeds. You can find them all in our link tree. It was initially just Apple Podcasts and Spotify whilst I got everything sorted. We are slowly but surely populating that. The links are in the description for YouTube and the podcast as well. So go to linktree/Talk Joshi for that. If you haven't already, leave us a 5-star review and a comment. Obviously, new feed. We need more ratings, please. We don't ask for much. Please give us some ratings. Thank you to everyone that's already given us a 5-star review and a comment. It really does help us out. If you haven't already, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. You can find all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month, as well as our whole archive of episodes and all of the news, reviews, previews, and everything else from the world of Marigold and Stardom. All of those written pieces are available for absolutely free. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. They are available for free, so you can just check those out at your leisure. You can find us on social media at Marigold Podcast, apart from if you're on Blue Sky, Instagram, or Threads, where we are Talk Joshi. You can talk to me on Twitter. It's at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Folks, if you're into comic books or anime and you're going to be in the Mount Pocono area this weekend, Saturday, myself and Andy Header, we make our tag team return, my first time in the ring this year, over at ColossalCon. It is free to get into the show. You just have to buy a pass to go to the convention. So I will be there live and in living color. And by living color, I mean dressed up as the Punisher, because that's what that's how you get over in these shows. Well, I tried actual wrestling. People are like, that's all right. No, they want to see you dressed up as like comic book characters and doing Gaga. So that will be me. Yes, I think Andy Header's wrestling a full match in the Spider-Man suit. So I will report next week and let you know how that goes. Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and bestest way to get a hold of me. Or, folks, you can shoot me an email. The email address simply is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fantastic episode of the Marigold Standard. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together, everybody's different. Everybody's special.